Okay. I'm gonna do this, start doing maybe more topic videos, but this is a pretty good one to start with. I guess I'm getting more in the flow of making these videos. This is a nice little format, trying like 10, maybe 20-minute videos about topics. And weight loss is pretty good, pretty important. It's one of the biggest problems in the U.S., maybe if not the biggest problems, is people being overweight. So I have a lot of good tips and tricks about losing weight from what I've learned, and weight loss through diet and exercise. So there's like two different routes. You can go mostly diet and little exercise, and that can work really well. Or you can do a whole lot of exercise, and you don't have to focus on your diet quite as much, because if you're doing a whole lot of exercise, then you're burning them off. But the big rule is you can't outwork your fork. So you can eat a pile of donuts like really quick, but you can't burn that off that quick. Yeah, it's supposed to be like like 150 calories a donut, but that's like about the equivalent of running a mile. So it's like maybe a mile a donut or something like that. So you can easily outpace how much you can eat. And if you're like way overweight, then you can make smaller changes and they'll make bigger differences. But when you're trying to get more refined, to like lose that last 5 or 10 pounds, then you have to think a lot more and have to be a little bit more strategic, a little bit more disciplined, a little more analytical. Is probably the best word for that. Yeah, I was because I recently lost about 30 pounds and recompensated, which means replaced fat with muscle. Yeah, replaced fat with muscle. Because actually lost a lot of weight working in the yard, and then I stopped doing that. I was doing like more painting and thought-provoking stuff. But I was like still eating a lot. But I wasn't that worried about it because it was doing kind of like a manual labor bulk on like being strong and like moving stuff around and ripping trees, small trees out of the ground and stuff like that. But it had gotten to the point where it needed to be changed and get back into more conventional exercise instead of just working on this house. I was mostly working on the house and just doing like a few push-ups and pull-ups and stretching for maintenance. But then now I'm getting more into conventional exercise, which can allow you to eat more. If you exercise a lot, you can eat more, and you don't have to eat as clean, even though you probably should eat cleaner. But yeah, that was a good point. I got a lot of tips and tricks, and I wrote down. I had notes here, but it's a little difficult making these videos and getting back into the flow of making these types of videos. But yeah, there's actually a really good point I keep wanting to say. It's not in the notes, but it came to mind. If you do a lot of mental work, like you work in an office or something like that, or difficult business work and stuff like that, then it makes you hungry and you eat a lot, even though you're not getting hungry from burning calories. So you're getting hungry from mental work. And a lot of people do that. So I was like painting, so you have to like really focus and concentrate and think and stuff like that a lot. And so it's like it makes you really hungry because you think you're working, but you're not like in the yard like cutting down trees and breaking up leaves and dirt and pulling roots and moving around a lot and picking stuff up and things like that. Or lifting weights or running or something like that. So it's not burning calories, but your body demands a lot of calories from mental effort. So that's so a big thing about that is tricks of finding low calorie foods that satisfy you. There's a big list, like vegetables and stuff. But also a big trick is that carbonated water. So later on in the day when you don't want to eat anymore, you can drink one of those like LaCroix and stuff like that. Yeah, like the carbonated flavored water drinks that don't have any calories. Those actually help quite a bit. But there's this guy. I was looking into weight loss and stuff like that. Just YouTubing. I do a lot of looking around on YouTube anyway. But there's this guy, Trainer Joe, and he specializes in it and gets people to lose like 100 pounds really quick. And his only weight loss requirement his only exercise requirement is a 20-minute walk. So it's mostly on diet. And a big problem he finds is, so he works at it from the diet angle to where it's like the rules kind of change for me because it's because all the exercise. So I'm more like performance exercise based. So diet, because then you start wanting to eat more because the demand's there, and then you want to perform as well. So he only requires like a 20-minute walk and focuses on the diet. But he's got a lot of good tips and tricks and motivation advice and stuff like that. So I'll give like a couple of them. He has a book and like a group and stuff like that. But don't eat after 7:30. So I'm not quite in weight loss mode right now. And then like the healthiest option is not eating at all. There's no food. So you think like, what's a healthy alternative? What's a healthy thing I can eat? And it's no food, not eating. And then there's, I've heard this from other places as well, but he also talks about how your body's really good at storing fat. Because in primitive ancient times food wasn't as abundant. So when you got food, you stored it. And it's really remarkable at storing it. And there's a lot of energy in that. And like, like every gram or pound of fat is just so much energy it supplies that it takes a while to burn it off or work it off. I don't know the exact numbers, you can look it up, but it's a lot. So he'd, like make jokes and stuff like that, like you're hungry, why don't you eat that corn dog you ate at the 1989 World Fair, because it's still there. And why don't you eat that Taco Bell you had last week? You don't need to eat anything, it's there. So you've got a lot of stored energy, so you actually don't need to eat that much because it's got to burn off. It's got to burn off all that stored stuff. But when you exercise, it really changes the game. But there is kind of like a gray zone where you can go like the exercise route, which you still need to focus on your diet and everything, and the calories in, calories out. But you can be a little more. You can eat more, and you can eat dirty even though you shouldn't eat dirty. Which clean calories and dirty calories. I'm trying to describe clean and dirty foods, but dirty foods, you think like fried foods and sweets and all that stuff, or clean is like, complex carbs and dry chicken breast, or non-breaded meats and stuff like that. And then people also get a big problem with they can't exercise because their plumbing is so bad, which means their blood work, cholesterol and high blood sugar creates inflammation, which makes it harder to exercise. So that can be like a really vicious cycle if you have that problem. So then you have to rely much more on diet and do like just a 20-minute walk, or something like that. Um, and maybe swimming or something like that. But yeah, so that's a big problem, a big what you would call vicious cycle. You can't exercise and you can't eat. Um, you can't lose weight because you can't exercise. Um, uh, so it can also be pretty difficult because they get that metabolic syndrome where you can't, where you're storing and it's not burning as well. So you have to try really hard with the diet, and go at it really hard with that angle, and it's possible. It's only like really extreme situations where you can't fix it with the diet. And a lot of people want to think they're in that category, but they're actually not. Um, yeah, and also it's harder when you're refining, like losing the last like 5 or 10 pounds. That takes more analyzing and being more meticulous about what you're doing, what your exercise expenditure is, and what your calories is, and so it's it's different. So that's pretty hard, refining that last little bit, and so is starting the momentum. So if you're overweight and the scale's always going up or staying the same, but it's kind of bad the same, or it's still always going up, reversing that direction can be pretty difficult, but it's actually should be pretty easy, uh, for someone out of their shoes. So if you're in the shoes of my 600-pound life or something like that, and then it's kind of hard to think of how to change that, when someone like your average person would say, "Hey, just don't eat all that much." So if you make like minor changes and hold them consistently for a while, it'll make huge differences down the line. So instead of eating 2 pieces, a whole cake at night, maybe eat half a cake at night, and over a few months that'll be quite a big difference. Um, so that kind of ties into a big problem people have is lifestyle change. So so you have a set lifestyle and you really don't want to change it. Like you're really scared of thinking like, oh man, I can't eat cake every night, Like, do I really have to give up cake? And do I really have to, stop eating 10 burgers every time I eat and stuff like that? So that kind of gets to people. Same thing, I guess, similar with like alcoholism, or cigarettes. You're really scared of that lifestyle change. Like, hey, can I live without this? And food is the hardest addiction because you don't ever have to drink again. You don't ever have to smoke cigarettes again. But you do have to eat, even though you're addicted to it. So it's supposed to be the hardest addiction because you still have to eat. And so it's like one of those things like a lot of people find with alcohol, like it's harder to drink in moderation. Like total abstinence is easier than moderation, while food you still have to eat moderately. So that's why Trainer Joe has that big rule of just don't eat after 7:30. But I guess kind of a way around that is you can say, okay, I'm going to live like this for 6 months or something like that. Living like a certain way. So like if you're weightlifting and you're going on a bulk, you can say, okay, I'm going to go on a bulk for this amount of time. Or like if you're trying to lose weight, the good thing to do would be say, just thinking about it like a boot camp. Like, okay, I'm going to do a real hard 3 months or 6 months. And then after that, I'll be able to eat a little more liberally again. So if you just went at it really hard for a few months and lost a bunch of weight, then you can relax and kind of coast a little bit and maybe even gain a couple pounds and then kind of like chill out for a little bit and then step down from there. And then once you're at your ideal weight, then you can eat more liberally. But while you're trying to lose weight, you have to be really strict and disciplined. Yeah, so my current state right now, I was weighing myself every day, and this is what it's looked like. This is the sheet if you can see it. See, when I was at 173.2, and then that would be the increments. Are we gonna read it? Well, that's at 159.2 at the end, and then after 156 at the end. So I got down that low, and then I was still actually gaining strength in the weight room as well. But I'd kind of reached my goal there. So right now I'm looking. I relaxed from weighing myself every day and just kind of relaxed a little bit for maybe a week or so. It didn't go out of hand or anything, but right now I'm currently using the mirror more as a guide than the scale. And kind of preventing myself from putting on too much weight because I'm still obeying most of the basic rules. I guess I'm eating a little bit more, but I'm also exercising more, and then also focusing on what I look like in the mirror and then performance. So if I can run harder and faster, jump higher and all that, because that's a big thing about weighing a whole lot. You can't run as well or jump as high. You can't run as far or jump as high. That's a big thing. Yeah, we're gonna get through all these tips and tricks. A big meal that actually helped me out a lot that I still eat probably like 5 days a week, 5, 6, 7 days a week is a salad. I buy one of those bags of salads, and that's 2 servings, so I'll buy it and split it in half and put it in a big bowl, and then mix a can of beans in it. So that's a half a can of beans a day with the salad, and then a lot of times I'll put like a 16 gram of protein tuna fish pouch in there. Individually after I make the salad. I won't store it. So I'll cut it in half. I put the salad and the beans, and basically eyeball it, cut it in half, and store the other one and eat the other one the next day. So that keeps you regular defecation. Because that's a big thing about cholesterol and blood sugar and stuff like that, is it's excreted through waste. So that's where like fiber becomes important, and excreting that. So you eat fiber-rich foods and stuff like that, and then also that meal, it keeps you full longer. So it's surprisingly that meal, when you eat other food, you're like kind of hungry a little bit later, but that one just keeps you satisfied, not thinking about food for a long time. So that's like a really helpful meal. And then you can also add chia seeds, which also has a lot of fiber, and it's supposed to do a lot of good things for your plumbing. I just call it plumbing, your blood work and all that. So that's big, and yeah, I guess I'll talk about so I make the salad with beans, and it's optional if I'm going to put chia seeds or tuna in there. Yeah, I'll talk about the GLP-1s. They're really popular, but they're new, so they've only been out like the past couple of years, like popular. So there's this guy named Lee Hayward, and he has a lot of good advice on bodybuilding and stuff like that. He's like a YouTuber that's been around, like one of the original YouTuber guys. But he had some pretty good advice on supplements as well. And I guess I would put the GLP-1 in this, is you gotta let it be on the market for at least 5 years and hopefully longer before you try it on yourself. So don't guinea pig yourself. Let other people guinea pig these drugs, you know. But if you're in a desperate situation, then maybe the drug's a good choice. But I've never taken steroids or anything, but I would assume it's like kind of like a form of steroids. It is injectable. So if you can lose weight without that stuff and naturally, if you can get moving in the right direction, then you'll be that much better off with the drug. So like a lot of people, they'll start steroids and they don't know anything about lifting weights or exercise or diet or anything like that, and just, I guess, learn that on the fly or something like that. But that's the same thing that people do with the GLP-1. And so if you knew basically what you were doing before you just rely on the drugs, then the drugs will be that much more effective. But I'm not messing with any drugs. And so I've had things where I've gained and lost weight. I've got a 30-minute limit. I didn't think this was going to be this long. Which is basically for bulking up, putting on muscle, which is particularly strength. So it's easier to gain strength if you put on weight, and so you can do that in an unclean fashion where you put on more body weight, more body fat, which may make the process a little easier. But it's not good to do too much of a dirty bulk. And that, with me, started back in middle school when we were doing football. I went to the drugstore with my mother, and there was the old guy behind the counter that used to play football, and he gave me some advice. He said to make smoothies and eat one for breakfast and one after school, so it'd be 4 meals a day. And then the smoothie was Slim Fast, fruit, wheat germ, and milk. And I put on a lot of weight. I went up to 165. So it's, I guess, pretty big for like a 12-year-old or whatever, or 12-year-old my size. And the football coaches, they were like old Southern and really mean and strict and like hard on you. But I got a compliment from one of them. He was like, "Wow, you got a lot bigger." So that really that was really hard to get out of him. But it was like obvious. I was wearing like a V-neck t-shirt, white t-shirt, and it was just way bigger. It was like, I mean, there was fat on there, but it was like bulk too. So that happened, and then I guess throughout middle school and high school, I would, I guess, gain weight and lose weight. But I remember when I got a lot more into martial arts. I've always been in martial arts, but I may have strayed from the path, I guess, a little bit. But still doing like different athletics, but strayed from pure martial arts. But when I got like more into like real martial arts and like Bruce Lee, work capacity and work ethic and trying that route, I think it was like 17 or 18. So when I was 12, I was like 165. When I was like 17 or 18, I was 140 pounds. Just ripped in the bone, muscle. Ripped and stronger and all that. And then I also noticed I would have trouble gaining gaining strength. I guess I was still like recompensating, getting more hard and dense. I'm weighing about the same because I was doing so much cardio, but I was still like lifting hard and trying to make gains and stuff like that. But it was, it would become fairly difficult. So, focus on strength gain. A lot of times you gain weight, which that can get out of hand. So when you go the other way and you focus on cardio, running and stuff like that, then you lose a lot of weight. Which I guess is, you would think, healthier, which is in a lot of ways, but you can also get to the extreme where you're extremely weak from excessive cardio. Um, and when you have more muscle on you, then it's more metabolically demanding is the term, which means it demands more calories just being on you, so you have to eat more, and you can eat more. If you're eating the same thing as an overweight person, but you're muscular, then it's gonna benefit you automatically because you have the muscle, because the muscle demands sugar and protein and all that. To where if you're overweight, it's just gonna turn into more fat. To where instead of supporting your muscle. So I guess I've done that over the years. Go to like bulking up and I'll gain weight and then cut it down. And then I've also had hybrid periods of time where it's just like what they call the main gaining, where you maintain a certain amount of weight and you're just kind of like bulking, cutting at the same time, but just focusing on bettering yourself. But it's not a strict focus on cardio and cutting and cardio and cutting and all that. And not so concerned about the strength gain. And it's not a bulk, so it's like trying to get the best of both worlds. So right now I guess I'm kind of doing that, but still keeping my weight low. I'm still like trying to lose weight, but not too concerned because I was 156 on the paper. That's weighed in the morning. That's like in my underwear first thing in the morning, which way less first thing in the morning than at night. That's the lightest you're gonna weigh is the first thing in the morning. And I'd weigh myself every day first thing in the morning after the first urination. So that's a good weight, and I guess that I may be okay between that and 165. But as long as the performance is good, then I'm good with that. But I still want to keep it fairly low, and I'm doing a lot of work on this house, so it's good to keep my body weight low so I have more energy and I'm more mobile. Just a couple minutes left. So a lot of people want to bulk up and stuff, which can be fun and good, they think for sports and stuff like that. But it can be a bad thing. It can lead you down a bad road of just strictly bulking and trying to gain a lot of weight. So bigger is not always better. Better is better. So it's good to be well-rounded, good strength and cardio, have that balanced out. Not the best runner, not the best lifter, but the best of both worlds. So I think I've got all that covered. I can get into more detail about my past and stuff like that, but that's all the tips and tricks I wanted to give out. There's a lot of good information in here. So I hope you take it and it helps you out. Thanks for watching. And I have more ideas for topic videos, and I'll get better at the flow of making these videos. Because I'm still kind of practicing making these talking videos. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more stuff.